things happening at exactly the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And it's so, as seekers, we need to develop the eyes to see the birth and the death,
Hmm.
because the death is so frightening that if you're in your ego, you get panicked and depressed and desolate. But if you stay in the core of your being and just watch, you'll see all sorts of amazing signs of the birth appearing.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm
what
right there
we'd
with
like
you.
to do for
Yeah.
you is to just give 7 tender suggestions as to how to stay sane and stay creative and stay grounded and stay building your reserve of courage for the great fight ahead to preserve the planet. So
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Would that be a good thing to do?
Perfect. Perfect.
Because I gave a pretty fierce message last time, and I'd like
I loved it. You
to
know,
tell
I
it
edited
went
it
out. It went out to people.
big time. I edited it down,
Thank
just so,
you.
no, I didn't cut any of you, but in other words, I edited your 18 minutes and put it into its own thing. And
See,
it's got
18 minutes, my God.
yeah, and it's got over 1,000 views.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I so appreciate your wisdom, and it inspires me, and then I get to take it and share it with others. So thank
Thank you,
you.
my darling friend. And thank you for all the work you're doing to keep all of this alive. I mean, my God, it's amazing. Here we are in our little places, unable to move around,
Yeah.
and yet we can do this.
I
Are you
teach.
looking after yourself? Are you getting? It's the hardest thing is to really do the necessary self-care, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm living with, I own a home. I've
Ah,
got
that's
4 people who live here. They make
ah.
wonderful food. I've got
And
two
they've all
puppy
been
dogs,
together during all of
and we've
this.
all been together the whole time, so we're all
Oh,
safe. I live in up in the wine country, north of San
oh, it's so
Francisco.
beautiful. Oh
It's
my
it's
God.
beautiful, and in my county, the entire county has only had 23 cases of corona, and not one had to be hospitalized. So
Oh
we're
my
like in a
God.
bubble here. We're in a
It's an
real
oasis
safe.
of
It's an
protection.
oasis. Yeah, it's a safe little
You
bubble.
inspire me for many reasons, but I love your hair. I,
Oh,
I
thank you.
mean, Deepak was coloring his hair, so I thought I'd color my hair for a bit, but I'm going to let it go grey.
No, no, we are the
So pretty.
silver
Yeah,
foxes,
baby,
buddy.
silver.
Whenever people say, I love your gray hair, I say, no, no, it's not gray, it's silver, right? See, the key is
Silver, I
silver.
love it.
It's
Silver.
silver.
Let's go for silver.
Absolutely. Let's go for
How
silver.
old are you, Scott? How old are
I'm
you?
64. I'm
I'm going to be
64.
68 next week.
Well, yeah, so we're both baby
But
boomers,
don't you
very
find
close.
it's the best time of your life?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's
It's,
amazing what happens
and I
in
have
life,
so
isn't
much
it?
energy. I'm so
Yes,
energized right now.
but you're in great shape too. You've looked after yourself. You've
Yeah,
kept
I am.
fit. Yeah,
Yeah, I should exercise more. I go for 2 walks a day,
that's
but I should do
important.
more for my upper arm, my upper body. I mean, I'm spending
We'll
all
do
the
it
time.
together. We'll do it together. We'll meet because
There you go. We
I
will,
can't
yeah.
stand the gym, but I'm going to go. Swimming is my thing. I love
Yeah, well,
swimming.
see, I have a lake. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try, but that's my lake where I go swimming
Oh
in the
my
summer.
God.
If you're able
Oh,
to
how
see that.
gorgeous.
Yeah. So as I sit here and I'm, talking to people that are suicidal, I'm watching the hummingbirds from the feeder, and I'm looking at the lake, and you know,
Well, God's
and
put you in that place to be calm and to be filled with beauty so that you can do this work. I mean, people are in desperate shape, aren't they?
oh my God, it is. But I think what we're noticing, my tribe is thriving. Like
Right.
the people who've done the work, who have their
Right.
practices, the people who have practices are thriving. The
Right.
people who don't
That's the
have
key.
practices,
That's the key.
absolutely.
It's the key. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been waiting for this. We knew it was going to come. We knew we would see either the end of everything or the beginning of everything. We've been
Right.
preparing
Right.
for this.
Yeah.
And in a way, there's a relief that it's come
Yeah.
because the waiting for it was so painful.
And the way that it's come, isn't it about the most gentle possible way, really?
Well,
You
when it
know?
could be nuclear war, it could be
Exactly.
a tsunami after tsunami, and she shut us down to give us the chance to regroup at the deepest level.
Yeah.
That's the blessing of the coronavirus, with all of the horror, the 109,000 people dead. It's the blessing that we've had this time.
Hmm. Yeah.
People are listening in a way they've never listened.
And it's worldwide, so it's spread out. It's not just one place where the nuclear war took place or one place, where, it is. So everybody's feeling it. Everyone's aware of it, but it's, spread out. And again, of course, for the people that are dying or suffering and the economic, it's really hard. But it does feel like it's like such a gentle nudge from our Mother Earth compared to what it could be.
Oh God, yes, and for what it will be if we don't learn from it, because
Exactly.
she starts with a nudge and then she gets wild.
Yeah,
So we've got to really use this amazing period
exactly.
to
Yeah,
plan for a new world.
yeah. And, I mean, we all are using it, but it is really truly the caterpillar into a butterfly experience. And
Yes,
we
yes,
are all the butterfly cells finding each other,
yes, yes. The
you know?
imaginal cells waking up in the soup. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
such a great analogy, isn't it?
It's amazing. I mean, it just never
Amazing.
gets.
It's natural and it's totally revelatory of what's actually happening.
And it's interesting because we're the same age. A lot of the people
I'm
that
your elder brother. I can boss you around in the
okay,
age.
go for it. Yeah, absolutely. And you are my elder. But a
Oh no,
lot of us that are in our 50s, 60s, and 70s are being called on at this time, and
absolutely.
it's kind of like the old gunfighters that have been retired for a while and, going out for one last,
It's
one
like the
last
generals
roundup.
who've just been speaking up, isn't it? They've been wandering around that lake and
Yeah.
shooting the odd pheasant, and now it's time to speak up to preserve the democracy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That
Yes.
really is. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm going to put the spotlight
Okay.
on you,
I'll
and
go for about 10 minutes. Is that what you think?
that would be great. Yeah. If
10 is
hang on.
good.
Let's see, where's pin video? There we go. Um, all right. Whenever you're ready.
Hmm.
Andrew, what are your thoughts? Especially our theme for tonight's show is how we can act locally while thinking globally. So, that theme and what's going on in our country, what would you like to share with our audience?
I would like to share with you 7 tender suggestions as to how to live this absolutely insane and extraordinary period that we found ourselves in. A period in which it is quite obvious something is dying in horror and pain and agony, and something amazing, potentially, if we really work with it, is being born. It's a very strange time, as I'm sure all of you are experiencing, because it's a time in which, on the one hand, the whole world is boiling in a whole concatenation of crises. And those crises are all urgent, and together they pose a threat to the whole future of humanity, and potentially here in America, the whole future of democracy. And on the other hand, we're in lockdown still. What's the meaning of this? I believe the meaning of this is that the mother is giving us time, you and I, to regroup at the deepest possible level so as to become calm and joyful and passionate and compassionate and strong enough to really, when this cloud of the coronavirus starts to dissipate, step up and serve her in sacred activism with the fullness of all we are. So, how do we work with this strange blessing? So, here are my suggestions. The first suggestion, and this is quite a strong suggestion from your old uncle, is that you stay safe. The coronavirus has not been mastered. Happy talk from that demented psychopath in the White House will not do it. I'm in contact with the leading epidemiologists of the world, and they all tell me that there are many, many, many more cases than are being reported, and that there almost certainly will be a major surge again in the fall, and that we're headed for a very dramatic and dark winter. I'm not saying that to frighten you. I'm saying that to make sure that you stay safe, because you are going to be needed. We're going into a long, bitter, brutal, amazing, frightening, extraordinary struggle for the future of the planet. And it's going to need the seekers safe and whole and well. So that's my first suggestion. Don't believe any of the happy talk about the virus. Be aware that this is a virus that could very well mutate. Be aware that there are other viruses out there. There are 1,400 coronaviruses carried by the bats, and there are other potential pandemics. Don't panic. Keep safe. My second tender suggestion is to make sure that although you are in lockdown, that you do what I call small acts of mercy, small acts of deep compassion. You know that there are people starving. You know that there are homeless on those streets who are so terrified of going to shelters because they're petri dishes for this virus. You know that there are friends of yours who are going through suicidal depression because they're waking up to the extremity of the situation that we're in. Make sure that you help in whatever way is appropriate for you. Because by helping in that way, it may seem small, it may seem, in a sense, pointless. It isn't. It is a way that you are building the cells of a new sacred activist body within yourself, which will be ready when the time comes. You will be practicing compassion, practicing mercy, practicing help, and do so with joy and gratitude that you can, and something amazing will start growing in you. My third suggestion is that you deepen passionately and focusedly your spiritual practice. One thing I've noticed, and Scott and I were having a wonderful conversation before I began to give this message, is that this is a time in which those who have for years and years done serious practice are doing well despite everything that's exploding out there. Because through the grace of the beloved and through the grace of the efforts that we've made out of love for the beloved, we're being fed calm, we're being fed joy, we're being fed radical insight into the nature of this crisis. And that is keeping us steady. It isn't that we don't have days of desolation. It isn't that we don't have days of exhaustion. It isn't that we don't have moments of extreme despair and hopelessness, but that we know that that isn't the real part of ourselves, the truth of ourselves, because we've tasted and lived that truth. So if that hasn't been flashed out in the core of your heart, that deathless certainty of your own deathless truth, practice, 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 practice. Because I know that there is an immense wave of grace coming to us from the core of God to give us that next level of our realization, to equip us for the work of birthing the birth in the middle of the death ahead. And that this shutdown is the time in which, if we practice with deepest devotion and passion, we will make the most astounding progress. This is happening to me. I have made more inner progress in these last 2 months than I've made in the last 10 years, because I've known that the time is now. And in turning to the beloved, I found that the beloved has given me absolutely extraordinary radiance of peace and of joy and of focus. And I'm not special. This is what the beloved's up to with anyone who turns up to the beloved and asks through turning up in the relationship, through practice. So that's the third. The fourth suggestion is I found it absolutely essential to what I call stay aware. Look, terrible things are coming down. I don't have to enumerate them. They're exploding on your television screens. You know them. But also amazing things are appearing. So what we're being asked to do is to stay aware of this astounding alchemical process that we're now all in which we're being devastated and redeemed, slaughtered and reborn at the same time. And what that means for all of us is that we need to, through practice and through prayer, create a container in which we can simultaneously hold two previously unimaginable opposites without growing crazy. On the one hand, the possibility of extinction, which is a real possibility, the possibility of the birth of a monstrous fascism in America, which is now we've seen, you know, who announced the potential martial law. We know that that is possible. And on the other hand, we've seen the astounding courage of the doctors and the nurses and the postal workers and the grocery guys and girls who've been helping us. We've seen the astounding, beautiful, holy courage of millions of protesters who are risking their lives to stand up for justice. We've seen the most extraordinary, heroic testimony from great investigative journalists and fiery, brilliant people on television who are absolutely prepared to tell us the truth about what's going on. And we've heard really rousing, glorious messages from major teachers who know that this is the time of the birth. So what's needed for all of us is to build this container to be able to contain these opposites without veering to despair or veering to too floaty, magical thinking, staying stable, watching, really contemplating, but asking most of all, and I think this is the most important thing that I could say to you, asking for the grace from the beloved to develop what I call birth eyes. It's very easy to see all the different writhing, terrible, blood-soaked facts of the death. They're all there. They're all now nakedly visible. But what's really important for sacred activists and for all people who want to be of service to the future is to pray for the divine insight to be able to see where the birth is appearing, and it's appearing. It's appearing in all the acts of courage I've been talking about. It's appearing in the extraordinary visions that is appearing amongst generals, amongst business people, of the kind of world that we're going to have to create if we're going to be able to preserve the world. An immense tragedy has caused an immense urgency, and the immense urgency has engendered a new set of crystallized, pragmatic, very noble visions, which will need our total support. They're coming, they're here, and they're longing for you to recognize them, because when you recognize them, you will be filled with a rugged, noble hope. The fifth suggestion is a very important one I found. I'll tell you a story about a week ago. I rang one of my greatest friends, who is one of the great environmentalists on the planet and who has been working in the trenches for 40 years to try and wake people up to the really terrifying position that the climate's in. And most of the time, she is the feistiest, cheeriest person I know, and she makes Mother Courage look weak. She is a rock in my life. But it was a Sunday, and the usual slew of terrible news had come in, and she was utterly destroyed and utterly grieving and sobbing, and I had never, ever, ever seen her in such a terrible state. I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yes, of course I'm okay. It's very important to grieve." So when grief comes to you, when heartbreak reveals itself as a possibility in your heart, don't indulge in happy talk. Don't think that there's anything weird about heartbreak. Realize that heartbreak is the sign that you have a heart at all. It's like the Tin Man in Dorothy who says, "No, I know I have a heart because it's breaking." You're not heartbroken at the death of George Floyd. You're not heartbroken at the long litany of murders of young African American men. If you're not heartbroken at the way in which America has consistently ignored its own most ferocious wound, you're not heartbroken at the absolute idiocy of the reaction to this. If you're not heartbroken at the tearing of the Constitution and the burning of the laws of this country, if you're not heartbroken at the insanity, the detailed and planned insanity of the dark forces that are now ruling us, you're not human. But if you're only heartbroken and you're not using that heartbreak or letting that heartbreak guide you into a vaster compassion and a deeper, deeper focus on what you can do to bring in and sustain the structures that could end those injustices, you're not divine. So allow yourself time to grieve. Heartbreak is sacred. It won't kill you. It won't drive you mad. It will make you more human, kinder, more loving, more passionate about justice, and braver if you let it. It's a divine gift sent to ennoble you. So find time to grieve. The sixth suggestion, and I know all of you know this, but it's so sacred at this moment. I found this period to be both the most painful period, perhaps, of my adult life, for all the obvious reasons, but also the most joyful period, because it's been a period in which I've reconnected with old friends, old lovers, old colleagues that I haven't seen for many years, and we've had the most electrifying, heartwarming, heart-inspiring conversations. It's as if in the middle of all of this tragic agony that we're living, the mother is joining us again in tribes, in networks of grace, as if she's forming out of the decay these new alignments that if we stay with them, if we realize the gift of what we've been given and truly cultivate at a much deeper level than we've ever done before, the sacred power of friendship, the sacred power that comes from loving our animals with a deeper love, then we will go out into the new world that will appear, and it'll be a bloody world, a difficult world, a brutal world. We'll go out flanked with people whose spirits will be supporting us and whose spirits we will be supporting for the great struggle to birth a new way of being and doing everything. Notice the brilliance of the mother's work in all of this. I just want to thank my cat because these last 2 months have been a festival of rapture with my baby, Jade. She has to deal with me traveling so much, but I haven't been going anywhere. And for the first time in time we've been together, she's had me to herself and I've had her to myself. And she's been able to guide me into deeper and deeper celebration of life by her tenderness and by the bliss that we experience together, just lying silently in each other's arms. What a blessing. What a blessing this terrible time has been to those who've known that one of its secret purposes is to bring us together with those we love and those who love us. So as we can taste at deeper level than we've ever tasted it before, just how essential real friendship at a soul level is, and just how much hope and courage it can provide us for the long, difficult work ahead. So I want to leave you with one last suggestion, which really encompasses them all. About 3 years ago, I sat down with my great friend Carolyn Baker, who's one of the greatest American mystical intellectuals. She's one of the most noble people I know, and she's been for 15 years fearlessly proclaiming that this moment would come. And she's been called, like I've been called, a Debbie Downer and a crazy person and a doom merchant. And we've known that this time was coming, and we've supported each other because we've known that all those people who called us pessimistic would be so grateful when the time came, because they'd see that we weren't defeated by what we knew, because we've been preparing for this, and we're strong, and we're happy, and we're here, and we're focused, and we're with you because we love you. And Carolyn and I decided that we were going to write a book just to piss off everybody who thought we were Debbie Downers, called Return to Joy. And it was the most joyful experience of my life, sitting with Carolyn, who knows absolutely everything about what's going on in the environment and why the million species on the edge of extinction, why the human race is in a state of funk when it needs to be activated. There's nothing she doesn't know about the dark. But she knows something which I know, and that is that the ultimate nature of reality is bliss. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, forgive me if I quote Sanskrit scriptures, but it's all there, baby. In the Taittiriya Upanishads, it says, from the great bliss, all things arise. In the great bliss, all things are sustained. And to the great bliss, all things return. That isn't poetry. That is the experience you have when you awaken. That is the experience that you have in an unforgettable and overwhelming way, which forever changes your life, when through the grace of the beloved, you are initiated into the ultimate truths of reality. I've had that experience, and I'm sure many of you have had that experience. But what that experience should lead us to do, especially at a time like this, is to cultivate daily joy, to really tune our whole being to that ultimate reality, not so that we deny the horror and tragedy of what's happening, because you don't need to turn away from that, but so that we can bring into the middle of the burning world presences lit up by the golden light of the joy that doesn't need anything, because it comes straight from the truth, straight from the source. So whatever makes you joyful, make a list of the 10 things that give you joy, and make sure that you turn to all 10 every single day, and fill your lives with that joy, and turn to the source of joy wherever you find it, and worship beauty as the sister of joy, whether it's in music or in the eyes of a friend or in the light shining in the summer in the core of a tree. Wherever it is, know that it is beauty itself kissing you. Know it is the joy, the ananda of the Godhead that's reaching out to you. And let that joy give you strength, give you courage, give you chutzpah, give you peace. And keep calm, carry on.
Oh my God! What a ride! I mean, I can't. I'm going to share this not only, of course, tonight in our show, but I'm going to share this out to so many people, because you really nailed it all, Andrew. You so beautifully. I mean, that was just. I mean, thank God number 5 was the crying one, the heartbreak one, because I had time to recuperate from that. But I think I felt that.
Do you feel it? Do you
Oh
feel
my
it?
God! You
How
know,
long was it? 10
I
minutes?
I didn't even time it, to be honest. I don't
No, I
know.
think it was about 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was
Thank you,
perfect.
brother.
I may when I introduce it, explain to people what you mean by the beloved, because not everybody has read Rumi or Andrew Harvey.
Right. It's
Um,
God.
of course, yeah,
I call
yeah,
God the beloved. Yeah.
yeah. So I
I'm a
might
lover.
explain it. I've always loved calling it the eternal beloved. That's one of my
Oh,
favorite.
it's such the best word ever.
It is. It's the best way to describe it. It's the eternal
Right.
beloved.
And
Yeah.
it goes beyond religion, doesn't it? Because
Oh
it,
yeah.
you know, the first person ever to call God the beloved was Rabia, who was this woman saint of the ninth century.
Oh
So it was a,
wow.
and
It
that
was
changed
pre-Rumi. Pre-Rumi.
pre-Rumi. And she was a slave girl. She was sold into slavery, and her master was so impressed by the beauty of her nature that he let her go. And then she went into profound meditation. She became the greatest saint of her time, and she left 11 perfect poems, and is one of the fountains of wisdom that then engendered the great mystical renaissance of Hafiz and Rumi and all the rest of them. But Rumi adored Rabia, and from her, the whole of Sufism was changed and the whole world was changed, because instead of God just being worshipped as this majestic power, God was worshipped as this the intimate beloved of the heart.
Oh
So
wow,
it's
that's
a huge
beautiful. Thank you
revolution.
for educating me on that.
It's a
You,
revolution, but took a woman.
of course.
Of course, because it's the woman in one that loves God as the beloved.
Yeah.
It's the
Wow.
feminine,
Mm,
So just say that when Andrew talks about God, he talks about the beloved. And share
yeah.
it with anybody you want. And if you could possibly do me the favor of sending it to me so I
Of
can
course.
do it
Of
in a fine.
course. Yeah. I'll send you the edited version. Of course.
Please
But when I
do.
say edited, I mean not
Yeah.
having. Yeah.
Was it comprehensive enough for you, you
Oh
think?
my God! You nailed it. You absolutely nailed, and I love it because it's seven very specific things,
Right.
and everything from joy to mourning to it's like that's right. It's like these are the things for us to embrace.
Right.
Starting with safety. It's so amazing. I taught a class today, and the class was on how to manage change, and that's what I started on was we have to connect to our safety and recognize that actually almost all of us are safe right now in the moment. And let's be in constant gratitude for the safety that we have, as
Right.
opposed
Don't
to
take it
giving our
for
power
granted.
away. Don't take it for granted, but don't give
Absolutely.
your power away into the constant fear, but just really embracing, I am so grateful that I'm safe right now. And I took people through a meditation that was kind of intense, but an
That's
eight,
okay. You know me.
well, here's something that helps people get it. It's an 8-minute meditation. How long can you hold your breath? Imagine not being able to breathe for 8
Oh
minutes.
shit. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Look, well, that's
And
the
it
holding of the breath is the coronavirus.
it is it's all and it's the burning of the
Everywhere in the
Amazon
world they're saying
forest.
I can't breathe because we can't breathe in this idiotic, crazy world that they've let us, our stupidity has created. We just
Yeah.
can't breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about breath. So I take
Right.
people into the beauty of breath, feel the breath, and then
Perfect.
imagine, yeah. And because you nailed it, it's like, and then I bring the three analogies. People who die from COVID die because they can't breathe.
Right.
This
George Floyd died
George
because he
Floyd,
couldn't breathe.
he
The
breathed.
African Americans are outraged because they've not been able to breathe because they've had the knee on their neck, and
Neck.
we've had a knee on our neck too,
Yeah.
because we know that the world that we've been given is crazy and insane and unjust and deliberately holding this immense potential back. We know that. So
Yeah.
there's a way in which we've all identified with him. Not
Yeah. Absolutely.
right.
And I
Why
think
it's
I think that's
exploded
why
the consciousness of the world. Yeah.
totally because it's one thing. It's horrible, but it's one thing. Okay, a cop gets scared, he fires a gun.
Right.
Okay, it's horrible, but come on, 8 minutes on
With
top
people
of with
begging
people
him.
begging him and three
Oh,
other policemen just watching. It was torture.
it's the worst nightmare of all of us
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it brings up childhood trauma and everything, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
well,
Because
the
we've
people
all
who are
been
supposed to
helpless.
save us, the police is
Right,
supposed to protect us,
right.
to torturously, with
Torture.
complete lack of compassion. It is the most uncompassionate murder that we will ever see.
I think that's the key. I think I think we all came to recognize that what we need more than oxygen is mercy.
Yes.
I'm not merciful to you. And you know that in a great friendship, there can be tremendous tensions.
Yeah.
But if the person you love isn't merciful to you, it causes you terrible pain. Mercy is the key. That's why
Mm.
in the first surah of the Quran, it's God is the all merciful. Turn to mercy because mercy is the source of all health and all truth in life. If you don't have mercy on your lovers, on your friends, if you don't receive mercy, how can we live with each other? Because we all make tremendous mistakes. We're all egomaniacs trying to become saints. And we all have to feel the mercy of God, the grace of God, to be able to constantly struggle to transform ourselves. It's mercy's the key. And that's what we saw the absence of.
Yeah.
And that choked us and made us go to the streets because we can't live
Absolutely.
without it. It's
Yeah.
the water of survival.
Thank you for that. Oh, God, thank you for that. I've been hosting. I know you're a lover of Marianne Williamson,
Oh, God, yeah.
and this week I'm hosting her every week. She's interviewing progressive Democratic candidates. Yesterday
That's
was,
fabulous.
oh my God, yesterday was the guy who's running against Nancy Pelosi. Uh, talk about
Good luck.
cojones, right? Yeah, right. But I'm so impressed with these people. This one guy, he's
They're
running
very
for.
amazing people, aren't they?
They're
The
amazing. This
Democrats have got a fantastic group.
Oh my God, these
Yeah,
progressive Democrats are so beautiful and so
they
human and
are.
so compassionate, but smart. They've got this
And
combination.
tough. And they
They're,
are warriors.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's the
So,
next
of course, with
generation.
Marianne, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's been really interesting meeting
She's
these
such a
people.
fabulous woman. She's been my great friend and champion for 20 years. We're very, very close friends.
Yeah,
Marianne
yeah,
is so brave. She's so fearless.
yeah,
And she is coming into her true greatness, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
She really
world
is.
is listening to her.
Yeah, after the Democratic debate that she was on, she was the most Googled person for like 2 or 3 days. It was like she was number one in the Google search.
It's she did something that no other spiritual teacher has had the guts to do. She entered the bloody Shark Tank.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
all try to rip her apart, but Marianne's used to it. She's been through it thousands of times. She got through it.
She was great. She was great, and she
Great.
still
And she
is great.
established, oh, she's going to, oh, she's not
Yeah.
finished yet.
No, no, and
God.
she's leading
Oh
our
my
prayer
God.
tonight for the show. So, um, well,
Please give her
and
my love. Say
I
Andrew
will,
sends his love.
I
And
will.
anything you want me to do, I'd be happy to do. I'm here for you.
All right,
Anything
thank
you
you.
like. So let's do something when it's time. And please
Absolutely,
send this out to everybody.
I
Will you
will.
be playing this?
Yeah, I'm going to play it
And
tonight. I'm going to play it tonight, and then I'm going to post it as its own. I'm going to create my own watch party around
brilliant,
it.
perfect.
And I'll send it, of course, to you right away. And then I'd love to connect with you again soon and take a
Of
look at
course.
ways we can play together. Yeah.
Anytime.
All right.
Anytime. Take care.
God bless you, Andrew.
Lots of
Thank you
love
so
to
much.
you.
All right,
Nothing.
lots of love.
Please give my love to Marianne.
I
Say that I'm
will.
dying to talk
I'm.
to her.
I'll be with her at
But the great
5:30
thing, I
today.
will never speak to her again. No, because we're trying to reach each other and we've been missing each other. So just say, I'm dying to talk to her and
I
I
will
love
tell her
her
that.
so much. I'm so proud of her.
I will tell her that. I promise. I'll be talking to her at 5:30.
Thank you, my darling friend.
Much love.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Super Fox you.
Oh, and I love that you brought in your cat. I love that you brought the
Oh
cat
my
in.
God. Oh, my cat is the center of my life. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
yeah, of course, and yeah, yeah. So she's
If I
got you
don't
now.
bring in my cat, she knows, and terrible things happen. That's the thing.